Just look at the water level here. Despite all the rain we've had in Pittsburgh, I've never seen it this low here at the Ohio River. That's incredible. And we're supposed to get more rain later on today, and we're supposed to get a lot of high winds later this evening, and there's like nothing moving right now. You see all the debris floating in the water? Everything is perfectly calm. It's like calm before the storm, which presents a wonderful opportunity today for me to talk about the homeless situation in Los Angeles. Now, some of you may read the Los Angeles Times this morning, and or perhaps watched the news, and you heard about all the protesting going on where they're removing people from various homeless camps throughout the city for health reasons and health concerns. And then you've got all these people who are, I don't know why they call themselves protesters, because number one, they're not homeless people, so they have no idea what they're protesting. And number two, if you call yourself a person who wants to be an advocate for homelessness, it's probably better to remove those people from living in tents and actually giving them opportunity, which brings me to the subject of this video. I'm just going to briefly give my view of what I think is going on there as a person who lived out in the streets myself. One of the first things I remember when I got into this situation, of course, is I was a fish. Like a person in prison who's new to the prison system, I was new to the homeless system, and I really wasn't sure where to turn. But it occurred to me very early on in my homeless experience that I probably need to hook myself up with the right people. And I did that, thankfully, but it wasn't a quick process. You know, being homeless is a slow process. These people who are thousands and thousands and thousands, you know, I made numerous mentions of this in my previous videos. I asked this very same question last year. I said, what are the numbers going to be for homeless people in Los Angeles a year from now? Well, as I predicted accurately, it's gotten worse. Why has it gotten worse? Well, there's lots of blame to go around. Let's not blame Democrats, let's not blame Republicans, but they're part of the problem. The people that control that city right now have their hands in a cookie jar, and they got caught. It has gotten so bad in Los Angeles, they don't really know what to do about it except eradicate all these establishments. They're like, well, we got to do something here because we're getting all this negative publicity, we're all getting this negative coverage. But it was just as bad almost a year ago. What's the difference if there's 20,000 homeless people in Los Angeles as opposed to 40,000 people homeless in Los Angeles? Do you think that's what the numbers are going to be projected for next year? 60,000 people homeless in Los Angeles? How about 80,000 people homeless in Los Angeles? What do you do with those kinds of people? Well, the first thing, there are a lot of people in the homeless communities who don't belong there. They just came there because of various circumstances in their life. Each homeless case is unique. So I can't get into the semantics of every single case in Los Angeles, why this person's homeless. I can't. Because everybody's unique. Everybody ends up on the streets for whatever reason. They have mental illness. I said this in other videos, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, you know, but they have mental illness. They lost their job. They have drug and alcohol and gambling issues. There's thousands of reasons why a person ends up out in the street. Mine was unique, just like everybody else's was. But I learned early on that you have to make some sort of commitment to yourself very early on when you live in the streets. And that is what I did. I said, I don't want to live like this forever. And I said this before, being homeless is not a death sentence. There has to be a point in a man or a woman's life when they find themselves living out in the streets. Do I want to receive charity for the rest of my life, or do I want to transcend that charity into opportunity? I don't see a lot of opportunity for these people. And it's not because it doesn't exist, it does. Let me say something that the newspapers aren't telling you, probably because they don't know. It's not because of the ignorance of investigative journalism. It's probably because they don't know. You don't know this until you live out there for a while. And for those of you who are homeless and you watch my videos, you can appreciate what I'm saying. Right now, the reason why those encampments are being cleared out is probably because, and I don't like to scare people, and I don't want to exaggerate it because I'm not there and I really can't say for sure, but based on my own experience of being in a homeless shelter, especially the one that they had on Smithfield Street in Pittsburgh, which is no longer there, and the ones that they had on the north side, which are still there, bed bugs was a huge issue. When you stayed in homeless shelters, irrespective of how clean they were, They were all of them were infested in some type of way, whether it be roaches or bed bugs. In some cases, I guess even rats. I heard people seen rats, but I couldn't verify it. I never seen one myself. Even in the entire time I was in the city, I think I only seen a few, and they were small. But in the homeless encampments right now, in all these nice parks, they're being overrun with critters because these people don't want to clean up after themselves. They don't want to get rid of their trash. They don't want to take any pride in themselves. They've lost their dignity, they've lost their humanity, and that's very easy to do when you're in that situation, because I did for a while. But at some point, you've got to look around at your situation and say, I want to get out of this. What I had done was, and I'll explain this very briefly, because I never did make a video of how I actually got off the streets, and I really don't think it's irrelevant right now to do that. Maybe it is later on down the road, because I guess I should explain it. Maybe it might help somebody who watches my videos and they can get out of their situation. But I'll say this. You have to find the right people who can hook you up. When I was in the shelter at Smithfield Street in Pittsburgh, I used to have caseworkers come to me every single night. Mark, are you finding a job? Mark, are you looking for a job? Mark, do you need assistance of some kind? Do you need references? Do you need referrals? Every night these people would come to me and ask me about my situation. I'm sure there are programs like that that exist in Los Angeles. At some point, there has to be a decision made in your head. Even if you have the slowest of faculty running, even if your brain is on the lowest level, you have to look at this and say, do I want to do something with my life? Do I want to get out of this situation? A lot of the people, not all of them, like I said, each homeless case is unique, but a lot of the people that are in these shelters are there primarily by choice after all, because when you continue to let the manna fall from heaven, why should you go out and do anything else? And I know that's a brutal comment that I just made, but it's the truth. There's a huge difference between being homeless and being a bum. And a lot of those people that live in those tents are content to be bums. Just like in the flip side of that coin, that I can tell you in the same breath, a lot of those people are there beyond their control. They have mental problems. They cannot find a job that is suitable for them, that gives them the type of income they need to survive. Los Angeles is an expensive city. But I also must say in the same breath, in defense of the people who actually live there and have a home and pay a tremendous amount of taxes to live there, it is not right for a bunch of homeless people to come in, throw trash and feces everywhere, and say it's okay just because they find themselves living out in the streets and they find themselves living out in poverty. Because we all know, well, I'm speaking for us homeless folks. Well, I'm an ex-homeless person. I don't live out in the streets anymore. And this is my point about this whole video. You can get free clothes. You get free food. You get free toilet